Hello, everybody. It's so great to be back with you.
Hey, everybody.
Hope you're having a fantastic week and you're having a fantastic January. It's hard to believe that like a month of the year is going to be gone. And then we think, oh my gosh, that means like 8% of the year, 8 or 9% of the year is already gone. Like, so if you
Yeah.
haven't gotten into action, and especially with your health, Heidi and I are like, get to work, right?
Get to work. Time to take action.
Time to take action. We were just talking about that in our membership last week about how do we make things non-negotiable. So there's no take action, not take action. It's just always is because you have non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
It's gosh, it's just such importance that frees the your body's ability to make these like, should I not, maybe later, well, tomorrow, like all that's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Decide. I mean, set up your day. Do it with intention. Start that intentional living, if you will. I guess tomorrow morning I get up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, no matter what.
No matter what.
Non-negotiable.
Yep. Yep. And whether you have to write it on a piece of paper, put it in your calendar, make sure you see it, because sometimes you can get up and something derails you. And before you know it, 2 hours went by and you forgot all about that new morning routine you were going to start.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait. Okay, tomorrow. Nope, not
Yeah.
just wait another day. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you guys. Well, it's so great to be here with all of you guys. It's so fun. I know already, we've all had a few challenges in the world with it, either being freezing cold, snow in Texas, fires in California. My goodness gracious. Thankfully, things are getting under control. But man, have some lives been devastated, right? I
Mm.
think it makes us all really take for granted each and every day that our stuff, our things can always be replaced, but
Yeah.
our health cannot.
Yeah. Your health, your life cannot be things could be gone in a minute. It just shocks me the devastation that in California the people have experienced and at level. I reached out to a friend in California and several friends, but one of them I said, "Hey, how you doing? Are you out of the zone, in the zone? I'm just thinking about you." And they said, "Oh no, we lost our home in the last fire 7 years ago." Oh my gosh, there's actually people that could have it could be their second time losing everything.
Yeah.
A mind-blowing sort of I just had to contemplate on that and think, wow. I mean, we are very blessed every day with everything we have. And we just need to really look at it, acknowledge it from time to time, and kind of take it in, say, okay.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys. But we are sending love and blessings to everybody that's been affected. And, if anybody is just like, I need some help with my health, I'm struggling, I'm affected by the fires, please reach out and we'll see if we can get you some resources or things. And we would love to help you because it's really unprecedented times for you guys out there. So
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
sending lots of healing energy your way. But today we're going to take kind of a deeper dive into this thyroid, the one that doesn't like to play nice in the sandbox.
Thyroid, the master gland. Yeah, it's a wonderful gland when it works, but it's pretty fickle. Yeah, and it can be, there's a lot of things that can affect the function. Autoimmune being one of the biggest results of poor thyroid function, and pregnancies can cause it, etc. So it's a fickle gland, and one that needs to be surveyed and watched over.
Yes. And I will tell you the number of women that I talk to that are just like, oh, I've got autoimmune. And without even me having to really take a step further, typically they're going to say it's thyroid, right? They have something going on with their thyroid. So, Heidi, let's kind of talk about that before we kind of say, because most of the things it's like part of this aging process, and women in their midlife seem to be the ones kind of very affected. But before that, there is a class, and I can't tell you the amount of young women I know taking thyroid medicine that it's like, what is so special about this that so many people are taking support, But first, let's go back and talk about what's the overall like function of our thyroid. Let's just kind of start with some basics for everybody, because some people might not even be aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, the thyroid really is a kind of a set point for our metabolism. It's because of what they call it a master gland. It is a segue from the pituitary to the rest of the hormones, and that conversation of signaling and feedback loop of, okay, time to produce more hormones. We're gonna maybe make a baby. No, we're not gonna make a baby, and then it turns it all off, you know. So it really is a master gland in regulating the other hormones. It really regulates our metabolism. Oftentimes with blood flow, it has a big effect on brain function. So when we have slow thyroid or low thyroid, we can experience brain fog. We won't experience other things, but we might experience brain fog, etc. So it's a master gland or communicator with all of our hormones in processing that information.
So what might somebody start to experience, besides brain fog, obviously, which you mentioned, in the early stages, meaning like for women maybe in their 20s and 30s that maybe there's an issue going on?
Yeah, most of the time women will experience, tired and fatigue.
Tired
Yeah.
fatigue, or maybe weight gain.
Yeah, and weight gain. And no matter what they do, it doesn't change. They'll also experience cold hands and feet, or they're cold all over them, that they're more cold. Weight gain. Another big one that people don't realize is maybe morning headaches, waking up with a headache in the morning. That can be hypoglycemia, but oftentimes, if it's persistent, and it doesn't have to be a bad headache, it just means that like a low grade sort of headache can be, you might want to check out thyroid. Um, the third of the eyebrow, like the end of the eyebrow is starting to thin, is also a sign of slowing down of the thyroid or poor thyroid function. Um, what else would they do? Dryness of skin,
Okay.
mental sluggishness, and brain fog, like I said. So those are some of the early signs of it. And a thyroid that's maybe on hyperdrive. So we have the hypothyroid, which you're experiencing those one, and the hyperthyroid, which is you will experience more maybe heart palpitations, a sense of inward trembling or nervous and emotional where you haven't been before, or there's quite an uptick in it.
Mhm.
Um, so oftentimes the thyroid can shift. It doesn't always go to autoimmune slowing down or hypothyroid. It can go hyperthyroid, and that's other autoimmune and much harder to treat. But those may be some of the signs. Insomnia is a big one.
Okay.
Insomnia, chronic insomnia, and you might want to look at hyperthyroid.
And so why are so many people and women, I'm assuming women more than men, right, affected? Like what's going on either in our environment or our food or in our bodies or genetics? Like why? And has it always been, but maybe people weren't talking about it, that we're seeing so much of it now? Has it always been? Or it's just really interesting, right? Because our bodies are made to work really well, but it seems to be like a trigger for so many people of
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah. I think, and what we see often is, because it is a fickle gland, right? Um, it, it, it is affected by stress, and we just live in a high stress world.
There we go.
We're
Okay. That's like number one, everybody, right? So
number one,
if you
right?
don't have something that you're doing in your life to be like de-stressing, coming to yourself, whether it's, reading your book for 20 minutes a day, you're grounding, you're walking, you're meditating, you're yogaing, you're something, that's probably the best place everybody needs to start.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So stress is a big one. Poor sleep is another one. Chemical exposure for women. So
Mm.
when you said it's mostly women, you're correct. 80% of autoimmune is women. So you have to say, well, what are women doing that men aren't?
Yes.
And the chemical exposure, it's well documented. It's even the data is emerging more and more and more about the chemical exposure, meaning our makeup, our lotions, our creams. We all want, put the lotions on our necks, and this is where the thyroid is, and it absorbs all of those chemicals. That can cause antibodies. It can cause hypothyroid or the thyroid to get sluggish and not respond as effectively or properly. So chemical exposure is a big one. Stress is another big one. Hormone shifts, too many hormone swings. That's why oftentimes with pregnancy, women will suddenly have, or right after pregnancy or during pregnancy, they may have some thyroid issues. Sometimes it goes back to normal, and oftentimes it does not because of the big hormone shift on the body with pregnancies. So that hormones can also play a part.
And do you think if somebody says, okay, I'm going to do a deep dive and I'm going to get rid of all the toxins in my beauty products and my household products, right? My cleaning and my laundry, and they're doing a pretty good job with that. They're managing their stress, they're watching what they're eating. Can people reverse this thyroid? Can they get, say, if it's been sluggish, can they just naturally boost it back up again with foods or lifestyle?
Absolutely, because it didn't get there overnight. It's not an isolated incident, is it?
Yes.
Right? The body works synergistically, it works together, everything affects the other thing, right? So it's just showing up here. And this is a common place for it to show up. So if one catches it early enough, there are strategies that can be done to figure out the why. Like, why would it be slowing down? And let's deal with that root cause and get it back online. And then other times it may not be responding. So this is where maybe some first supplemental support, nutraceuticals that are very effective. Um, you may want to start with if it's a subtle slowing down, but if it's out of that pathological range, typically the recommendation would be to have a replacement, thyroid replacement. And as far as hormone replacement go or medications go, the thyroid replacement is a safe, it's a nice invention. um, and so I would encourage people, if you're out of that pathological range and that's what your doctor suggests, don't be afraid of it just because it's pharmaceutical. As pharmaceutical goes, it's quite safe, very low side effect. Um, there is there is a tweaking period where it may take 3 to 6 months to actually figure out the right dose for you, but work with your doctor and try to do that. And it's also more beneficial if you change your diet, make sure you're exercising, make sure you're doing all the things to help that medication work. It's optimal at a low dose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that because then the second group of women that is really showing up is this, women in midlife, and maybe the number one indicator really is when that woman is transitioning through her perimenopause to menopause and having these bigger hormonal shifts.
Yeah.
Now something may be showing up again because
Yeah.
women in that age kind of say like, I'm so tired or sluggish, I have no energy, I'm in brain fog. And they're using that and they kind of just say, like, oh, I must be just getting older. But then they think, is it thyroid or am I just getting older? Right.
Yeah. And it's always worth it to, yes, we're going to age and we're going to have some of these things, but it shouldn't be profound. And so if you're
Yeah.
having this sudden drop or it's just feels like it's worse than it should be or more chronic, you want to go get your numbers checked and tested. And the range is quite large. So even if you're at close to the edges, it does sort of wave a flag saying, I'm struggling here. I'm not completely out of range, but I'm struggling here. And that's where maybe some nutraceuticals and diet and lifestyle changes could help. But hormone shifts are a big one for it. And as that transition, as we age, there's certain things like hormones that naturally slow down. The body says we're not going to make babies anymore. We don't need all of this. And so it makes those shifts. Well, it's not just estrogen and testosterone. You got your master gland who's also going to get that feedback and typically want to slow down. This is where science comes in and this is where like, no. We don't need to slow down just because we're aging. And we can push back that biological clock a little bit on longevity and have these glands work perfectly fine for much longer.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody were to be feeling like, gosh, that's me, I think I am having an issue. I know I can't say controversial, but most doctors kind of, if they would just run their generic test, they may be missing some components. And so I know that when you and I have talked and we suggest somebody go get their blood work done specifically, really they need to look for more things than a doctor would typically just do in a normal blood panel. So do you want to go over to make sure that they're adding these couple things?
Yeah, good point. In a typical yearly exam, they'll run a TSH, and that's your thyroid stimulating hormone, right? So are you making enough, or they're getting enough stimulation on that hormone? They may actually measure a T4, which it gets converted to T4 and then it gets converted to T3. Well, when you look at the physiology, it has to get converted to that T3 and free fraction T3, so it's called a free T3. And that's the only part of that whole production system that can lock in onto that receptor site and your body go, oh, right? But we want to see where in that process there could be a failure. So there's several different interventions we can do and be much more targeted, not just throw a thyroid medication at it and hope it works. There's many people on thyroid medication and they still have low T3. So this is where you want to do a TSH, a T4, a T3, a free T4, a free T3, a TPO, which is a thyroid perioxidase, which is a thyroid antibodies, and thyroid globulin antibodies. So look at those because those are the ones that would signal possible autoimmune activity.
You guys, we will re-put all of that down in the show notes if you're like, wait, I need to, or you can like rewind or whatever that is. But when you go to the doctor and they may say like, oh, you don't need all this, just say, thanks so much, I understand, but I would really like all of these done. And they may tell you, well, your insurance may not cover all of it. You need to say, that's okay. I'd like to have it all done. Because if you're questioning, then why would you just do two parts of it when that may show up fine and you're missing the rest of it? Like, is it even getting to that receptor that you need? You'll never know. So,
Yeah.
yes, you may have to pay a little bit out of pocket. Not a big deal. Just know you want the whole gamut.
Yeah. It's, very much, I always use the bank account thing. If you measure TSH, you think you have all this money in the bank. But when you go to access it, you think, I'm not getting anything out of the ATM. I'm putting in my code. It says I have plenty, but it's not giving me money. So it's the same experience. You have all this TSH, but I'm still fatigued. I'm still freezing all the time. And have you seen these eyebrows? They're gone. So these women are like, well, wait a minute. My labs are normal, but I still feel awful and I'm having all these symptoms. So let's look deeper.
Let's look deeper. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, so in a minute, we're going to go into like some natural thyroid support. If people are like, I'm against, pharmaceuticals, what can I do? What would be some things that maybe I would take? And depending on you guys, what shows up in your lab, we would suggest some different things. So that's kind of a hard like question to just throw at Dr. Heidi, but we'll just talk about a few nutraceuticals. But before that, Heidi, we were just talking about some research that has been coming across in regards to coffee and thyroid.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, because I mean, put your hand up, you guys. Say coffee, right? Like, let us know whether it's in the chat, on social media, and the podcast. Like, most of us are drinking some coffee. I hope you're drinking clean, mold-free black coffee that's really fantastic for you, but you might not be, and you might be adding some other stuff to it as well. But in general, we're going to give you some like ahas about coffee and the caffeine versus decaf. So,
Yeah.
Heidi, I'm gonna have you start kind of like where this like came from for you, because this is really interesting.
Yeah. So, just listening to other colleagues talk about, thyroid health, hormone health, women's health, this is what Kellie and I are into, right? So I'm listening to people and reading papers, and this one research that I came across was that there was some women coming down with autoimmune or antibodies on their thyroid. The TPO count was going up. And it was curious because in this group of women getting hormones, and there's a big group that they can go, well, wait a minute, all of you are getting hormones. What's different that now you're showing up with autoimmune on your thyroid. And what the common denominator was, they all had just switched to decaf coffee. So the thought was, okay, that's a common denominator. Could that really be it? And yes, they removed the decaf coffee, went back to caffeinated coffee. And here's the one thing to understand about coffee. Coffee, as you would grab it off the tree and process it, one that doesn't have pesticides, isn't been sprayed, but out there growing naturally. Coffee in and of itself is antimicrobial and antibacterial and anti-mold and fungal. And so drinking it actually helps our body process some mold and fungus and make sure they don't stick and hang out too long. But when you do the decaf, you remove those properties, those healthy properties. And so it can put you a little bit more at risk of mold exposure. Or if you know you've had mold exposure, don't go decaf. Drink that coffee, the clean, good coffee, and get some of that anti-mold, antimicrobial benefits from it. Not a lot, but a little bit goes a long way. It's in and of itself is very healthy, right? God made it. I think it's good. It's out there. It's
Yeah,
natural, right?
right, exactly.
So, so we think just like processed food, we all know, oh, we're not going to eat processed food because every time you process a food, it loses its nutrient value, its efficacy, its potency, and quantity of good nutrients and benefits for ourselves, right? Same with coffee. When the process of removing that caffeine, it loses its benefits, it loses its value in so many ways. And where it shows up, interestingly enough, and more in women, but in men. In part of the study, they had men saying, hey, do you drink, do you drink caffeine? Well, let's look at your antibodies. The antibodies can arise because of it. When they went back to the caffeine, this group, all of their antibodies went back down to normal. So it was really interesting. It wasn't one or two, it was all of them. And it was a group of 32, I believe it was, if I remember
Wow.
correctly.
Yeah, I mean, so again, not one or two or even just a few. So, the bottom line is you guys is don't if you don't drink coffee or are sensitive to caffeine, we're not saying go run out and, drink caffeine or you have to drink coffee. But if you've switched and you notice changes, or you've just on decaf and you're like, it might be really interesting if you have thyroid issues and you've been using decaf to switch and just go caffeinated. Or if you don't really care, you could, I guess, just stop. Although clean coffee has some health benefits, so you choose, and then re-see in like 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. And this doesn't, the people out there with genetic predispositions that, oh, I just don't feel good on coffee. Then don't do it. It's like this is just for those of you that drink, are thinking, are conscious about your health and really thinking, yeah, I do have Hashimoto's. Maybe you've been diagnosed years before, but one way you can keep the antibody levels low is not drinking decaf coffee. So it's just another tool, another way to sort of support your body. And if the Hashimoto's or antibody level is high and it's just recent, and at the same time you've recently just started drinking decaf, thinking it's a better option, do a test. Stop drinking it, give it about 90 days, minimum 60, but 90 days is better, and then see if those numbers have dropped.
Isn't it fun when it might be that simple?
Like, are you kidding me?
Especially when sometimes we've made a change and we think the change is going to help us.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh my gosh, oh wait, no, not at all. Or it wasn't.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. So a great example of that is people have come in and suffered for years with constipation. They've changed their diet, they've increased their things, and it's just not working. And I said, okay, well, let's start gargling. What? Just trust me on this. I need you to gargle 2 to 3 times a day, as aggressively as you can, sing a song as loudly as you can for 2 minutes. Give me 3 weeks on it, and let's see how it happens. And I'm telling you, after a week, some people will call and say, are you kidding me? all these years, all I had to do was gargle. I said, no, all these years, you're you're syncing up, your brain and your gut axis. That vagal nerve is kind of shut down because you're not pooping, so it's not firing. And the gargling just resyncs that up, reboots it, and you get a better signal. So yeah, it can be that simple.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. So any, for let's just say the typical woman that's getting diagnosed with autoimmune of their thyroid, right?
Mhm.
But like just on the edges of their numbers, any generality of either like food or supplementation that I would say like get this in your diet, this is kind of before somebody has to go the route of a medication.
Yeah. The thyroid is highly dependent, or the functions and the processes of the thyroid are highly dependent on zinc, selenium, and all the B vitamins. So in this time of methylation, a lot of people are, and rightly so, really focused on B12 and B6, but really for the converting of our thyroid from that T4 to T3, aiding that process is highly dependent on getting plenty of the B vitamins. Because our grains are not optimal, and so many people are gluten-free, and they're not getting as many grains where we get a lot of those B vitamins naturally, they may be low on that. So I do suggest, if it's even starting to slow down, up the whole B complex, all the Bs together with food. And then making sure you're getting your selenium and zinc, selenium at least 200 a day, and zinc at least 15 to 20 milligrams a day.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, you guys, I mean, a lot of times just go search and find your foods that are high in those. Make sure you're just eating them. And it can be as simple as like, oh, maybe I need to add like Brazil nuts or a few things to your diet that have certain things in it. Or for some of you, you may need to get a very high quality supplementation. Look where it's sourced from. Be very careful. You're just buying something random off Amazon or the grocery store because
Yeah.
you're really not getting much of what's in that bottle.
Yeah. And there's some companies out there that have like thyroid support, ultimate thyroid, blah, blah, blah. And they probably have all those ingredients um, together in those. So play with those numbers and get that in your diet and see how you feel.
And
Again,
Heidi,
you have to give it about 60 days.
okay, 60 to 90 days, you guys. It's for anything, like a minimum. People try 30 days and they're just like, it's not happening in anything, whether it's thyroid, losing weight, whatever. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah, just had a call yesterday. I've been taking this 2 weeks and I have not lost weight. Okay, well, 2 weeks. Your body hasn't even figured out what this is yet.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was going to ask you with the whole supplementation and food, we've had conversations before about NRF2 activation as the talking about the master gland of the master gene regulator of with somebody upregulating their NRF2 be also beneficial in helping right that thyroid.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You hit it from a gene perspective. You're getting you're getting different avenues to the same master gland, right? And eventually that you can hit that master switch. And the genes are our master switch. Ultimately, turning on and off genes is how we really want to speak to the body because that's its language.
Yeah. And the body
And
knows it's so
the
highly
body knows.
intelligent. It knows what gene should be on and what gene should be off. And so never be afraid that you're going to activate your negative genes. No, the body knows what's supposed to be what. So when you regulate that master switch with your NRF2, then it will say, "Oh, these are starting to turn on and they're not positive genes, so let's quiet them. Let's start to shut these guys off." The body is intelligent. It innately knows, so you never have to be worried that you are going to like turn something on that shouldn't be on.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a highly regulated system. And when these genes start to flare, inbred, built into the mechanism, right, of our fantastic body, are other genes that go, what? No, you're supposed to hang out at this level and that's it. And so then they turn on. So there's this constant shifting, but the antidote is in your body. We just have to make sure we're supporting the antidote, and that's an NRF2 activation. You're supporting thousands of antidotes to oxidative stress, cancer causing, pathways, inflammatory pathways. You activate that master gland or that master gene, boom, things change. But you're better regulated. But it's a highly regulated system. The only time you need to be worried you're turning on a bad gene is you're not sleeping, you're living a stressful lifestyle, you're drinking alcohol like crazy, coffee like crazy, sugar like crazy. Yeah, you're going to start to turn on some bad genes, and you won't, and the good genes won't have the signal to turn on because
Uh-huh. They're
the
over.
sugar, the
Yeah.
caffeine, the alcohol won't start to turn those off or shunt the signal for them to turn on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, you guys. So as everything, you guys know lifestyle is key. Obviously, today we're really just speaking of this whole thyroid and autoimmune and what to test, what kind of symptoms may be showing up in your body, how to help you regulate it naturally, that medications are okay, right? It's not like the evil death if that's what you need. Um,
Yeah.
but you can, support your body and don't think like, oh, forget it. I'll just won't do all those things for my body that I need to, and I'll just take a medication. Because then you're asking for the cascade of autoimmune to keep unfolding if you don't do the work.
Yeah. Because what happens is you'll feel great for 3 to 4 months, and then you'll feel crash again. And they'll just keep increasing the dose. And pretty soon you're going to hit the ceiling on dosage, and you're not going to feel you're going to feel worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope today was helpful because I think you could probably ask your girlfriends, and at least one in the crowd is going to have an issue with their thyroid. And so you can say, hey, there's a podcast you might want to check out. You might want to listen to. We always hope you have fun. We always hope there is something that you can walk away with that was really helpful. And I think this is it's kind of thyroid's thrown around because it is so common, or people say I have autoimmune, but then they don't really dig deep into how can I really help and serve myself, and what testing should I be really doing, and can I myself help myself versus do I only have to take medication, you guys. So we're going to leave you with that. And any other closing thoughts?
I think so. One other thing that when we think of precursors,
Okay.
what comes before actual thyroid function, right? Electrolytes is a huge segue to the messaging. So if you want a good, strong communication with your thyroid, make sure you're drinking enough water, you're hydrating well, and that you do have some clean, good electrolytes there as well, especially if you're working out and you're sweating a lot. Replenish those electrolytes because again, electrolytes are thrown around, but electrolytes are the segue from, say, the adrenals to give the feedback message to the thyroid, and the thyroid then to send the message to the rest of the hormones. So electrolytes are an essential key to that messaging. So watch those as well.
I love that. And this is such a good time of year to talk about it because most people get less, they're not drinking enough in the winter, colder months, and they're definitely not adding electrolytes because they think I might not be sweating enough, or I'm not working out as hard. So it really gets overlooked. So thank you for that, Heidi. I think that's a big, like, aha, don't forget, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, enjoy, you guys. Thank you for always being with us until next week. And if you have any special notes or concerns, always feel free to reach out to Dr. Heidi, myself. We're here to serve. We're having a blast in our brand new membership that we've launched. We actually have our first guest speaker coming in this week. So I would say, like, you guys, it's month to month. Come in, join us, dip your toe, check it out, see if you
Check it
like
out.
it. We're having so much fun. And if 2025, you have health to really optimize your health in your goals for the year, probably then you need some guidance along the way. And we're happy to be there to support you.
Absolutely. Come join us. I like your dip your toe. Dip your
Right?
toe.
All
Take
right.
care.
Cheers, everyone. Take care. Bye
Be
bye.
well.